we can say that resilience can be defined as a response to disruptive events. The resilient can be or an individual, group, or system experiencing those disruptive events. So when we talk about resilient, it's basically because these people react to the event in order to first face them, but also bring their positive contribution in order to continue living beyond the breach. These reactions can be explained as a way of securing a different future and not go back to the previous balanced lifestyle. The disruptive events can be sexual violence, race, disasters, illness, unhappiness, bereavement, confinement, or trauma. Ultimately, the resilient is the one who reacts to misfortune, value actions from his own resources to face hardships and ensure a lifestyle of particular quality. When two people face and experience the same trauma, their reactions can be different and uneven because resilience is a function of several related parameters. First of all, that individual we are calling more resilient have the ability and motivation to recognize and face the situations, and he also has the optimism and acceptance of the idea that constraints and difficulties are part of life, and that is possible to respond to those difficulties in one way or another. Then comes the fact that the same resilient individual has the awareness of the idea that he can find in his own heart and in his own living environment the resource to face and overcome the situations. Last but not least, he also has with him resources. Most importantly, he is willing to use them, and that will make a big difference. Can we learn resilience? We can say that as a process, resilience requires skills, attitudes, resources, and that can be acquired through daily life experiences. Certainly, there are genetic predispositions that shapes the character traits of individuals and somewhere shape their way of reacting to trauma. But we believe that individuals learn and build their resilience abilities based on their experiences, the strategies, and the skills learned over the course of their life. So as a process, resilience is the product of an acquisition through self-reflexivity and that of the exchange and interactions with networks of social relationships. The experiences we have shows that in order to be able to resist or cope with shocks, trauma, adversity, and bounce back to secure a different future, you must first work on self-esteem, self-confidence, self-assertion. You need also to have the knowledge of oneself in order to words knowing your own skills and abilities, and also understand your personal responsibilities. But it is also important to have an optimistic attitude, readiness to face situations and utilize the available resources, whether financial, social, or cultural. Can resilience develop at the community level, especially to cope with a deadly pandemic like the COVID-19? To cope with the current COVID-19 pandemic, it is possible to develop community resilience, but when it is developed upstreams, it can improve the community's capacities of response. Also, it's important to consider that collective resilience or communitary resilience does not consist of a sum of individual resilience capacities, even if these are very important as starting points. A resilient neighborhood group is one that organizes itself in such a way as to be able to overcome the various possible hazards linked to the pandemic by making use of the social bond, by placing more emphasis on solidarity, and by strengthening empowerment capacities, both personal and collective. Helping to overcome the pandemic at the collective level requires better coordination and orientation of positive individual action. It's important. And energies promoting networks of solidarity, mutual aid, exchanging, and support. Apart from individual disposition, develop otherness, values of mutual aid and social tolerance, facilitating access to information and support network, while diversifying support and social resources as essential actions to promote collective resilience to COVID-19. Some tips to overcome trauma from personal experiences. First of all, for me, you need to give meaning to your life and be motivated to bounce back. It's important. You need to keep the optimism going and believe that everything is possible in life. Everything. You need to be positive and see the trauma as an opportunity to move forward and not just be stuck on this trauma. You need also to draw on the various resources we discussed earlier to initiate a positive reactions to the problem. But for me, the most important advice I can give you is not to isolate yourself and rely first on family and develop a strong support system around you in order to keep you motivated no matter what. This is the key for me. The relationships will be important when you are facing a trauma and if you want to overcome it.